President Volodymyr Zelensky says that intense battles are being fought in two border areas, one in the east, the other in the northeast of the country. Well, outgunned and outnumbered, Ukrainian soldiers are trying to push back the advancing Russian army. Meanwhile, on the Russian side of the border, in the city of Belgorod, 15 people are reported to have been killed in Ukrainian shelling of an apartment building. Well, a little earlier on, I spoke to France 24's Andrew Hilliar, who told us more about the goals of this Russian offensive.
This latest phase of fighting, it began last Friday. That's when Russian troops began pouring over the border into northeastern Ukraine. There's been fierce fighting all weekend. Now, at least 7 villages appear to have been captured by the Russians. Russia claims that it's captured at least 9. What Ukrainian officials are telling me is that there's heavy fighting for the village of Vovchansk and also for the town of Vovchansk, which you can see on the map there. It's located very close to the Russian border. Ukrainian officials telling me that that town is under heavy shelling and that it's currently being evacuated. The town had a pre-war population of 17,000. Until last Friday, that had dwindled to about 2,500. Now just a few hundred people remaining. Ukrainian officials are telling me, as I said, that the evacuation is underway. Now, when I reported from this region in Ukraine back in December 2022, what my team saw were engineers working to repair critical infrastructure, such as electricity infrastructure, so that people could return to their homes. So if indeed Ukraine does lose ground here, that could be a very big blow to morale indeed.
OK, and what do you read into the timing of this renewed Russian push in those border areas?
Well, look, Ukrainian forces have been on the defensive for the last few months now. That's in part due to a slowdown in supplies of Western military aid, particularly from the US. So that's given Moscow a slight advantage in terms of munitions. So I think what could be happening here is that Moscow may be trying to exploit a small window of opportunity before the arrival of fresh military aid from the West in the next few weeks and months. It's also, I think, worth asking the question, what are Russia's military objectives here and why have they picked this part of Ukraine? Well, there could be several reasons for that. One, to pin down Ukrainian troops in the Kharkiv region, which would then draw reserves away from the Donetsk region, which is, of course, an area that Russia is very, very intent on capturing. Also, another reason could be to put Kharkiv within range of Russian artillery. That would then open Ukraine's second city up to a potential Russian assault sometime in the near future. Another possible final reason here could be to create a buffer zone between Kharkiv and the Russian border to protect Russian cities like Belgorod just over the border, which has, as you mentioned earlier, been the frequent target of Ukrainian attacks.
OK, so we've got the Russians